And good evening all, welcome back to another episode live and exclusive to YouTube. I am your host Swishbone for the remainder of the evening. And I kept you waiting, huh? For those of you who have never been here before, this channel mostly is about playing games blind for the first time and giving our live reactions and plenty of bad jokes and banter in the chat box that way. But, well, tonight, carrying on the Let's Drive series here on Gran Turismo 4 on the PlayStation 2. For those of you who've been here watching me try to tackle the World Championship in the Ford GTLM, which didn't go very well, you watched me try and become an all-star in the same car, which went equally worse. Perhaps you've seen me take on the likes of Doki Doki Literature Club, Danganronpa, the weird and obtuse murderous Sonic the Hedgehog, or tore my hair out to the likes of Sonic Adventure 2 and the Crash Bandicoot series. A huge welcome back to all of you. That goes to you, Avian, saying ready to drive. I will be when we start the race for sure. Also, Joe waving in the chat box there, saying hi to you too as well. And of course, thank you, Queen. Welcome back indeed. And for those of you who are brand new, follow their lead. Chat box over there somewhere. Get in there, I'll do what I can to move things forward. So we're going to carry on with the extreme events here tonight. Just carry on the rest of this for the evening. I wanted to choose tonight because, well, there's a lot to unpack, isn't there, people? Not only is there the whole trip made out west, but there's a load of gaming news as well. So let's deal immediately with the big one. That I need to decide what topping I'm going to choose for my slice of humble pie, because I said there's no way on earth that Atlas would ever remake Persona 3. Well, for those of you who decided not to watch the leak trailer and actually watch the Xbox Game Showcase, you'll know that I am about as reliable as a 1970s British Leyland car, because it turns out it is confirmed as the title Persona 3 Reload. Apparently it's due out early next year, sometime in early 2024. I reckon it's going to be around about February or March, judging by the recent things that have gone on there. Ooh, my car might be a little fast for this tournament, looking at the people on the list here, so this might be a bit of a walkover, I'm afraid, people, but, well, no change there, then really is there. So yeah, so for those of you who obviously watched the Persona 3 FES stream all the way back in 2020, was it 2021? I did that, I can't remember exactly when it was. Are you excited to play it in a much more modern version? It looks like at the moment it's on the Xbox and PC platforms, but they said the same thing about the re-release of Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden, and they ended up on both Nintendo Switch and PS4, so I won't be surprised if this game follows suit. There's also been the mysterious appearance of Gran Blue Fantasy under the new title, which has come out. I've already forgotten the title, because it's a weird one. And the only thing I'm concerned about is that it seems to borrow a lot of assets from Persona 5 and Persona 3, which makes me wonder just how much of an original game is in it. But either way, I'm still excited to see more JRPGs coming out next year. We also had the trailer for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the next part of the remake. This weekend, it's like they knew I was coming back on stream and would have a lot of conversation topics to get through. They wanted to give me more to talk about. So all your opinions, all your comments, all your questions, get them in the chat box. I'll see if I can answer them for you. And speculate, even though I'm already proven I'm not very reliable a source. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a walkover here. There goes the RSC Raid Rally car. I'll need to do a quick break here because that's the reason why. Super hard tyres have no grip, and I'm absolutely stuck on the wall. You can tell I've been gone for a few weeks, people. Luckily we got 7 laps to catch up, so it's not too bad. On the subject of racing as well, by the way, I want to say a massive congratulations to Ferrari. After 58 years, they won the Le Mans 24 Hours today. First time of trying in the new hypercar class, and they actually won the big one. Massive congratulations to Ferrari and Antonio Giovinazzi, who actually wins something for the first time in a long time. Don't think he's won anything since GP2. So this circuit is one I really do not like. I find it far too cramped and compact. It's not a very flowing circuit. But, you know, we've all got to deal with the track as best as we can, really. And thanks to the super hard tyres as well, I've got very little grip here. So that's part of the challenge, really. And you hear the tyre squealing there coming out of the corners as it was really struggling to bite the tarmac. Yeah, that's because not only are they cold, but they're very hard. So I kind of have to take a much slower kind of approach, and I'm not used to that. I'm too used to heavy right foot in it, as it's known. Joe, yes, that's a very fair point. At least he didn't have the F1 pit crew, because I know that would have screwed it up somehow. From what I didn't watch Le Mans. I forgot it was actually. I forgot it was on, and I don't have a subscription. But I understand apparently they had a late race scare where the car wouldn't restart in the pits, but they managed to get it going. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case, but still, massive respect to them. Toyota will be furious. They've been champions since 2018, and they've been dethroned for the first time in a while. They will be itching to take that trophy back next season for sure. It's actually good to see more manufacturers in Le Mans. I remember in the late 90s when you had the likes of Toyota, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, and all that lot up against each other. We need more of that. And say you've got Ferrari in there, you've got Toyota in there, you've got Glickenhaus in there, you've got Porsche in there, you've got Peugeot in there. There's rumours that McLaren are very interested in bringing a P1 class available. So it'd be nice to see a few more of the big manufacturers get behind Le Mans. And there we are, we're back in the lead now. The Pagani is back in where it belongs, in the loser lane. So I do like the design of the Ferrari 499. It's got a very retro look. Reminds me a lot of the old Peugeot 905C from the early 90s. Had a very sleek design in a very kind of different way. And say the old Le Mans cars have a beauty to them that the hypercars don't quite match, in my opinion. There's something about the old shapes. You look at the likes of the Toyota GT1, the BMW V12 LMR, the Mercedes CLR, the Porsche 959. You know, there was just something about them that were truly spectacular. Yes, Jaguar back at Le Mans would be amazing. The XJR that ran in 1989 was a beautiful machine, where you had the wheels, like the rear wheels, half covered like an old like an old prototype was, and obviously the livery wouldn't be allowed anymore because it's advertised tobacco. But the purple and white livery was beautiful. Much like the classic Porsche livery, which again, can't actually mention the name of because it would be breaking European advertising laws, but the blue and white design, very, very good indeed. I do find it odd in a way that you're not allowed to advertise tobacco in motorsport. And don't get me wrong, I don't think tobacco should be advertised anywhere. It's deadly stuff. But you can advertise alcohol. So you see cars that are capable of speeds of like 200 plus miles an hour, and they're there saying, here, drink some Heineken, drink some Foster's, enjoy a Johnny Walker Blue on the rocks. It's like, I don't get that, I don't understand it. And so this run, of course, for those of you who missed the previous parts, was where we can, we're using prize cars. We had to buy a front-wheel drive one because a glitch removed the car I got from the license test. So unfortunately, I've not been able to use that front-wheel drive car. I had to buy one. But in general, I'm trying where possible to beat the game, or as much of it as I can, without using anything but prize cars. I did actually see a video recently, which I've not actually had the chance to watch, but I'm intrigued in checking it out, where someone wanted to do a challenge where they beat this game with a budget of 100,000 credits. Now, with the way prize cars work, you think that's easy. But when you consider the cost of tyres and engine upgrades and everything else, I actually think that's going to be a really, really hard challenge. So I'm really intrigued in how they got on with it and what they did to succeed. Meanwhile, yes, Avian, in fact, I wouldn't recommend drinking Heineken at all, let alone cold or warm, but warm Heineken. Ugh. In fact, most beers you don't want to drink warm anyway. There's very few beers that are good warm. British cask ales are okay warm. And I say this to someone who doesn't drink, by the way, so again, my opinion here might be worthless. But seriously, if you have a beer, drink responsibly. Make sure it's cold. So yes, in terms of the adventure to Canada, one of the things I want to talk about briefly is how I actually got there. I flew with an airline from Ireland called Aer Lingus, and the idea was to get a plane from the city of Manchester here in the UK to Dublin in the Republic of Ireland, and then from Dublin onto Toronto in Canada. When I got to Manchester for my outward flight, I boarded a plane which actually made me more terrified than anything else I did on the entire trip. It was a plane that I think must have been from the 1950s, maybe the 1960s, that still featured propellers. It was about as stable as an old MFI wardrobe. It was horrible. It had the roughest takeoff in the world, and I was sat there and thinking, I'm not even left the UK and I'm going to be killed. I've heard of doing things on the cheap, but even Ryanair used jet aircraft. But apparently Aer Lingus own a budget airline called Emerald Airlines, and they were the ones that were operating my outbound flight. Yeah, that was an experience and a half, people. A journey of an hour felt the toughest part of the entire trip. I don't know what the plane was, but I never want to ride one again. It was horrible. The only way it could have been worse is if James May was the pilot and spent 20 hours trying to do all the pre-flight checks. Although, to be fair, at least they'd have felt safe then. Well, this, by the way, it's a souvenir cup which I picked up at Canada's Wonderland. An amazing theme park where I got to ride some very exclusive and very, very special rides. Avian and Queen loved those rides. They were itching to join me on them. They really wanted to be there. Yes, they did. They weren't afraid at all. Oh, no, 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 no. Honestly, Joe, most planes are actually really, really smooth. And say when I went from Dublin to Toronto, we flew on an Airbus A330, which was a twin jet engine, and it was pretty fine, to be honest. Really nice, smooth plane. We've got a grid start for this one. This is where I've got a great chance of being able to blast them all out of the park and leave. And say I'm going to be slow off the line because this car seems to have a really weird first gear that doesn't get up to speed very well. But once it's up to speed, well, that's it. That was a cheeky dive bomb. But it's not my fault that you don't have cold tyres. Well, it is my fault. I've chosen a car that doesn't warm its tyres as well as theirs does. But now, they're not going to catch up to me now. I should be clear. Although I must say, this track in reverse is an interesting experience. It's not quite as fluid as going the normal way. That's only a 4-lap race, this one. I'm surprised it's so short. I'm surprised it's only a 4-lapper. Yes, you were brave enough to get on a wooden coaster, which I didn't realise was a wooden coaster. It was called Wild Beast. And, yes, I realised just how much I cashed in my chips with my friends on that one, didn't I? I was not exactly popular for the rest of the day with that one. It wasn't a trick. I just said, yeah, this looks okay, let's go on board here. Ends up being like an old rickety coaster from 1980. Gotta say that, one of the things I will say is that when I was at Canada's Wonderland, I went on the amazing Leviathan, and I do actually have two stories to tell here. So the first time I went on Leviathan, I didn't know much about it, and it turns out it's what's known as a giga coaster, which means it's more than 300 meters tall, which for those of you who know anything about maths will tell you that's extremely high. Well, here's the thing. What I didn't know is that it actually has a near vertical drop at the start. It has an 80-degree drop. and you only have lap bars. You don't have any like over-the-shoulder restraints. So you actually get what's known as airtime, where you literally leave your seat. You're going down a hill that's almost vertical with no over-the-shoulder restraints, and you're holding out of your seat for 3 to 4 seconds. It was awesome. It was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. The problem is that the second time I rode the ride, I ended up on the back row. Now that's normally a great experience. When you're at the back row of a roller coaster, you normally have the most intense forces, because that's when basically the heaviest weight of the train is on the back axles. So when you're going through like tight bends, loop-the-loops, corkscrews, etc., you have a lot more ballast, which gets you a lot more force. And this was all okay. I was loving it. Until someone in the middle of the car managed to let go of some garbage, and it flew back and hit me in the temple at over 100 miles an hour. Fortuitously, it didn't actually break the skin or cause a concussion, but I could have been seriously injured. And let's say a massive shout out to Queen for actually escorting me straight to first aid for that one, because the ride people were like, yeah, I don't think you need first aid. Actually, yes I do. I'm getting checked out by an EMT. And the moment I walked in, I must say, credit to the security guys and the EMTs. The moment they said I've been struck in the head on a ride, they were like, get in this room, I'm getting a medic now. It was incredible. They turned me over, they gave me all these things to watch out for in the next few days, contact numbers for statements, etc, etc. So I'll say massive shout out to them for that. It shouldn't have happened in the first place. Whoever that passenger was, if I find you again, I'll be dropping something from my hands. It's called my fist. But most people were really cool about it and say it can happen, accidents do occur, everything has its risk. And would I ride that ride again? Yeah, of course I would. I'll be first in queue. Ah, Joe, you said you tried GT7. What did you make of it? What did you make of GT7? They're on the final lap now. There's not much to really report on this race. We are well in the clear, which is good. Because it was a grid start, there was no point qualifying. I could have qualified at Opera Paris, but I had enough time to claw it back. It was easier to do it that way, to be honest. Yeah, I'd say, absolutely be welcome to cheer me on. Disappointing. I'd want you both riding shotgun. Yep, so you've done a couple of races and tried the license test, Joe. Yep, that sounds about right for most experiences with the game. This has been a much cleaner lap, so we might have a decent lap time here. My fastest lap time was a 1:24. Oh yeah, I took 2 seconds out of it. I try to be funny, Avian. I don't usually succeed, but I try. Yeah, so that Pagani's Honda thought when he saw all the like super touring cars, he was thinking, oh, this is going to be easy. And then he hears boss music as the Nissan R89 turns up. And he's like, oh, well, bugger. So that's race 2 of the Dream Car Championship underway. It's in the can. And we're on our way to race number 3, which is taking place at the Deep Forest. Okay, only 5 laps as well. And we've got a rolling start for this one, so we're not grid starting. Look at that, we've done 213 miles in this car. That's how far we've gone. So it's going to look initially quite fuzzy. For some reason, the external static cameras, the models in the cars go really low res. And then all of a sudden they become stupidly high res afterwards. It's really quite jarring to watch. At least it is for me. I don't know if that's because I'm on a really high resolution monitor. My second monitor where I'm doing the capture of the footage, it might look a bit better. But on my ultra high resolution monitor, it kind of looks blurry as anything at times. But that's the danger of playing an old game on a much more modern technology. Out of my way. Oh, that corner's tighter than I remember. That was down to me, nothing to do with the car. Yeah, this section of the track is very different on GT7. It's actually a lot longer. And the muscle memory from that game is still in my memory. Yeah, I actually expected that to go a lot longer than it did. Well, I must say I'm not the biggest fan of this course. I don't mind it. I just think it's overhyped. I know that Kazunori Yamamuchi is a massive, massive fan of it. And there's some aspects I like. I love this opening corner here. I think this is great. I think this is a brilliant opening corner. And the fact that it's anti-clockwise makes it really cool as well, because it's unusual for a circuit to be anti-clockwise. I just find the middle section not that much fun to drive. Compared to the likes of Special Stage Route 11, for instance, Tokyo 246, this just doesn't feel as flowing to drive. But it's still a decent track, it's not a bad one. It's not a bad circuit by any means. That'd be Opera Paris. Also, Joe, when you say you tried GT7, which version did you try? Was it the PS5 version or the PS4 version? Because I don't know what... I reckon the PS4 version is nowhere near as optimised, because it actually wasn't even meant to be on PS4. It was meant to be a PS5 exclusive and was late announced for the platform on PS4. And it's caused endless amount of debate on websites like GT Planet, saying that because it's causing issues with connections and other things. Ah, so you played the PS5 version as well then? So you played the one that was advertised, the one with all the ray tracing, which I turned off. I find ray tracing and everything else unnecessary. I actually find it slows the game down and removes the optimization from the performance. It's like when you spend forever making something ultra realistic for no reason. Like horses' testicles in Red Dead Redemption 2. It's like, I don't care about horses' testicles, I don't care if they're swinging in high resolution. I'm here to play a Wild West game, why would I care about the way my horse's testicles swing? Why are you wasting resource on this and manpower and time and money? Focus on the game instead. I sound like such a bitter old man when I say things like that, and that statement would be correct, but that's not the point. No, I screwed that corner up. That was very poor driving. I mean, if you want in like a intro into how to take the circuits, there are some ones on here that I'm not a good example to follow on. This track's one of them. So I do like the crests and the hills at this part of the circuit. I like this part here, because it does have like a reward for getting your line perfect over the crests. Yeah, exactly, Queen. You know, if you're into that, you're someone who should be deleted from life. Forget the internet. You'll be deleted from life. I mean, I know people who work with horses, and I don't know anyone who's not enjoyed media involving horses because it's not quite got attention to certain parts of them swinging. Get your rally car out of the way. Get back in the dirt events where you belong. Stop clogging up my highway, Karen, in your SUV. Get lost. Actually, to be fair, if a Karen turned up on the school run driving that, I'd have all the respect for her. Instead of turning up in like a Renault Espace, or a Toyota Previa to turn up in a Toyota Raid RSC rally car. Yeah, that'd be one way to gain attention, wouldn't it? Yeah, my mum's got a Cadillac Escalade. Ha, cute. My mum's got a Toyota RSC Raid rally car. Deal with it. Yeah, 2 cars lapped, so I get the feeling that that's going to be very much the end of that race. And once again, the Pagani Zonda LM is in second. I now have a clear race victory in my pocket, which is awesome. Briefly sojourning back to motorsport, there is one thing I want to briefly get some comments on in the comments here. Next weekend is meant to be F1's race on the Ile Notre Dame in Montreal, Quebec. Given what's going on out there at the moment with the wildfires and everything else, is there anyone else who like me, thinks that maybe they should be thinking about rescheduling it somehow? I don't know, it's like, at a time like this, I really don't think we should be like putting like 100,000 people out in the open for hours in the day and hampering the emergency services. Maybe, again, I'm being a bit too logistical here, but I don't think it's a wise thing to do. What does everybody else think? I mean, Queen, I wouldn't advocate parents doing that to like SUVs parked at the side of the road, but it'd be cathartic, it must admit. It's interesting, Joe, because I agree with you, but apparently they say that the race is not under threat. And I don't know, it's the morality side of it to me. It's like, nah, no thanks. Oh, bless Avian. Brandy might have been looking around me and recognised my voice. Oh, that's cute. That's awesome. So cool. Say, that particular dog of yours, one of the best alarm clocks in the world. I never had to set an alarm for 6 in the morning. I was guaranteed to at 6 a.m. And no, that wasn't me trying to be a yodeler. That's literally the kind of noise I'd wake up to. It was awesome, though. I'm very pleased to hear that some of the fires are being stabilised a bit out there, Queen. I'm very glad to hear that. Because obviously when I was there, we didn't really have the smoke clouds or anything, did we? Literally days after I arrived back in the UK, it's looking like something out of Blade Runner, and I'm like, what's going on here? So I'm glad that that might be starting to abate, but yeah, it still seems, as you say, Joe, cash is king. Well, maybe it is in the eyes of some people, but I think lives are more important. Then again, unfortunately, with quite a lot of where the financial backing's coming from Formula 1, I'm not surprised they don't really care. Yeah, Brandy is indeed one of a kind. She's really, really cool. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Queen. As I say, I've got the photos from when I did all the things, and everything was fine. And suddenly I land back in the UK, and I'm like, I swear it wasn't me. I didn't throw my lighters from the plane when I was leaving the country. I didn't do anything like that, Gov. It wasn't me. And to be fair, I'd need one hell of a right arm if it was me, because I'd have to throw it across 2 state lines, and that's just not happening. Anyone who's seen me do any sports will tell you that. And after all, you've seen me drive in this game. My standards aren't exactly the highest quality, it must be said. Especially when you go miss an apex that badly. Jesus, that was awful. Yeah, it's not cool that you got the smells there, Avian, as I say. I mean, that's really not cool at all, but hopefully there's no concerns. And as you say, yeah, the smoke made people sleepy. I appreciate that, Queen. I was feeling a little fatigued a couple of days ago, so I might still be having the occasional overhang myself, surprisingly. And as you say, Joe, New York was insane. It was like, as I say, it literally was like Blade Runner at times. You know, Times Square with all the neon signs and like an orange haze. It was like, yeah, every one of those sci-fi movies from the 1980s had come true for like a couple of days. It's good to get a lot of sleep, as long as it is actually needed and isn't as a byproduct of another condition. A lot of sleep is good. Of course, like, our beds are probably our most comfortable places in the world, to be fair. Who doesn't feel comfortable when they're asleep? And I slept a lot after I got back to the UK, because when I went back to the UK, I left Canada at 6 p.m. local time. So that was like 1 o'clock in the morning in the UK. And I got maybe half an hour of sleep on the plane and landed in Ireland at 5:30 in the morning. I then got maybe another half hour of sleep on the way to Manchester and landed at 7:30 in the morning. So I then stayed up until about either 11 o'clock or midnight on that day. And then I slept until something daft like 10:30, 11 a.m. the following day. Because who knew that getting 1 hour's sleep in about 37 hours was going to make you tired? Yeah, absolutely no way that was going to happen, was it, people? Well, we're not going to lap the field, but we're going to come bloody close. Yep, see, if it wasn't for the Pagani, we'd have lapped the entire field. And so regarding my trip, I found out that I actually, well, I say I found out. One of the days I went to the CN Tower in Toronto, where they do an amazing thing known as the Edge Walk. The Toronto Tower viewing platform is 1,168 feet off the ground. The Edge Walk allows you to walk outside the platform on a thin platform all around the tower. This guy here did it. And when one of my colleagues saw photos of it, they said it actually gave them vertigo. It made them nauseous to look at the photos. I've not showed them the video footage, but I do have a full video, which I'm going to hopefully upload on my channel at some point. So you'll be able to see for yourselves just how high it was, how breathtaking it was, and some of the terrifying stuff I got up to. Isn't that right, Queen? Isn't that right, Avian? Oh, wow. July 4th and 5th, you got an overnight shift? Oh, no. What are you doing there? Like, stripping out your store or something? That's insane. An overnight shift. I've not done one of them in years. Last time I did one of them, I was working for a contractor. And we were doing a really deep industrial clean of a grocery store somewhere. Yes, Avian, that was one of my favourite photos where, because of the camera lens, it actually shows the curvature. You're right, that was amazing. Get out of my way. Get back in the loser lane where you belong, Ford GTL M2 driver. Well, I mean, if you're stripping out the store, get a sledgehammer and go crazy. You might just set your charges, blow the whole thing up. It's the only way to be sure. mean, say if you're doing installations and you can do things without interruptions, there's that side of it at least. But still, wow, that's one hell of a duty overnight. I pity you for that. Hopefully they're going to be giving you some serious compensation salary-wise for that. They should do. In the UK, they'd have to give you something known as unsocial hours pay, where you have to get, I think it's an extra 40% minimum on your hourly salary for between, I think it's 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. You have to get what's known as an unsocial hours bursary. So hopefully that you all qualify for that as well, Queen. I'd say it's been years since I've worked nights in the UK though, so I can't comment on that. And as you say, no customers demanding attention is always nice, to be fair. Working in customer service can be a big trial of patience sometimes. I did it for years. I don't know how I managed to survive while getting sacked, to be honest. For those of you who don't know, sacked is British slang for fired. An extra $1 is nothing. That's nonsense. I just make some quick inquiries just to know you're getting something from it. Because again, I mean, again, it's been a long time since I worked nights here in the UK. Yeah, Avian, I feel you. You say you think most of your hours are unsocial. I can relate to that. I've been there myself many times. In fact, I'm back in work on tomorrow actually. I'm back in work tomorrow for the first time in 3 weeks. The funny thing is I'm there for a week and then I'm off for another 2, so my colleagues are going to really hate me. But we'll be fine. We'll get things done. We usually do. Yeah, so this is the streets of Hong Kong, which is beautifully rendered in 2004 spec. And so the amount of detail in the background for this for a PS2 game is really quite impressive. You know, things like, you know, you got the 4 transit ambulances there, you got the Dennis Dart buses, they're all double deckers. You've got all the street signs, you've got the hotels, you've got the huge skyscrapers. They've not made it empty at all. It's quite impressive that they've actually done all that. Well, I'm going to be giving them those sweets that I bought. I'm going to be taking those in. I'm also going to be taking some hard photos of the trip. I should have actually brought them upstairs because I could have shown them to the camera for you all, but I didn't think, did I? And obviously, just try and do an absolute ton of work as well. That's the thing I really want to do. I know that my team have been under the cosh a bit, so I want to try and, like, you know, brighten the day up where I can. Ouch! Wow, Queen! Ow! Burn! Get the aloe vera for that one, or a therapist, or maybe both, an aloe verapist. Yes, I've been sitting on that one for half a week since I saw it since I came up with it. You're welcome. I say this car, the R89CP, has been probably the find of the entire series. Once you unlock this from that horrendous mission in the driving missions, number 34, around the Nürburgring, in the McLaren SLR. Yes, I've got PTSD, I'm never going to forget it. It was save state hell, but we got through, and the reward has been a car which I've been using to great effect. Meanwhile, good evening, Irish Jack, saying welcome back. Nice to see me again on stream. It's been wonderful to be back. How are you doing? Oh wow, I didn't know that, Queen. Your supervisor's moved out and basically you had no idea. That's a development and a half, isn't it? Come back and find out there's been major changes in the structure. It can happen. I've been there myself before. Came back off holiday once and I found out my general manager had been fired and they changed all the rules on what people could do, and I was like, what's going on here? Meanwhile, I'd just seeing Alistair Jack saying it's been a while to Avian and Queen. Just like to actually pass on a message from Bahamut Zero, who commented on one of my Persona 3 videos saying to say hi to you from him. So, hi to you both from Bahamut. Ah, that's fair, Queen. So at least you had some kind of advance warning. That's fair enough. Actually, while I've got a lot of you on the stream here, I'd just like to make you all aware of something. In July or August, there might be a return of a long-form charity stream. I mentioned a while ago that I was tempted to do one of the long races as an endurance race for a charity live stream. However, I acquired something over the weekend, and I'm going to leave this to all of you. If I do a charity stream in July or August as a fundraiser, how many of you want me to go to Xbox 360 Hell and play Sonic the Hedgehog 06? Yes, I found a copy. I found a copy of what's revered as one of the worst games of all time. Do you want to see me suffer through that in the aid of raising money for charity? Meanwhile, Alistair Jack, while you've asked a really fair question there, how was the convention scene in Canada? Did they enjoy it? It was really awesome, actually. The convention was huge. Absolutely colossal. I think their dealer hall was bigger than the entirety of MCM by itself, let alone like the other places holding all the panels and the shows and everything else. It happened in loads of different sites. It had almost every type of thing you could see in terms of like fandoms. The cosplay there was next level. There was some unbelievable cosplay. Check out my Instagram for some photos of me with many of the great ones on there. In terms of the actual organisation, I really like the style of it. I love the convention badges you get, which is something you don't get over here. I thought the fact that it went on till stupid o'clock in the morning, so it wasn't a case of literally like 6 hours and done each day. You could go and come and go as you please, which was awesome. However, there is one thing I do want to discuss, where there was one bad thing that happened. It didn't happen to me personally, but they had a panel, which was an anime version of the TV show Family Feud / Family Fortunes. And the first question was fine. Absolutely fine. No problem at all. But the second one asked, and I'm not making this up, which female anime character is most likely to have an OnlyFans? Answers chosen by guys only. I'm not making this up. This genuinely happened. To make matters even worse, one of the answers was Nezuko from Demon Slayer. If you know that character, you know why most people are disgusted that it wasn't edited out or dropped or even not even considered as a question to be asked in the first place. It was shameful. And I will say that the organiser of this panel actually went onto one of the forums for the convention, and essentially tried to enlist the audience to vet his questions for him in the future. No. own your shit. You fucked up. Don't do it again. If it was my convention, you'd be banned. Meanwhile, now that we've gone off onto rant lane, let me get back on topic. And yes, it seems that everyone wants to see me do it. Well, I don't know when it's going to be because I need to check my schedules really. Because if it's going to be as long as the previous stream I did for Crisis Core, I'm going to need a day kind of to prepare for it and a day to recover. So I need to check what my work schedules are going to be. But it is possible that it can happen either at the end of July or the end of August. It will be advertised as a fundraiser. It'll be one of the few I do, and you can all laugh a lot. I did very, very, very briefly turn it on earlier today just to make sure it worked, and it did. So the game works. That's one thing I can guarantee. As in, it turns on and starts. I can't say if the controls work. I can't say if it's even playable. I can't say if it's fun. I can't say what the plot is. All I know is that it's apparently one of the worst games of all time. Meanwhile, this is one of the easiest races I've ever done. I don't understand why we have races at the task course, but okay. You're quite correct, Savian. Yes, works does not mean playable. You're absolutely right. Going this fast reminds me of back at Canada's Wonderland and using FastPass Plus to bypass all the queues. People are there waiting 3.5 hours to ride the Yukon Striker, and I just go, FastPass Plus, go, boo, and get on in less than 3 minutes. You get a certain look of hatred from the audience as you walk by and just go, see you inside. Alistair Jack, I actually quite like that question. Yeah, we asked 100 people to name an anime character powerful enough to defeat their nemesis. That's actually a good question for an anime Family Feud, because there's so many you can choose. I mean, technically you got Sonic as an anime from Sonic X. That's an obvious one. You've got Todoroki, probably, from My Hero Academia. You've got the... Oh God, I imagine one of the Dragon Ball Z characters, like Goku probably. Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, he cheats, but he beats everybody. So, there's all kinds of things. Alistair Jack, what games do I hate? You're just asking. You're just asking, are you? You're just asking. Well, I'll tell you there's one game I hate, but fortunately I can't play it because it hasn't got... Are you seeing this? Up there. Top right of the screen. Are you seeing that lap count? 27 laps? Oh, okay. I don't get this. 27 laps? Why? Oh no. Oh, you've... Oh. I now know why. Oh, this is going to be a clusterfuck. Get ready for this, people. You'll now know why it's 27 laps. You'll know why. Lap 1. I'm not taking any chances here. I'm building a lead. I'm not going to have time to read your chats here, people. The lap is too short. So apologies, I'm probably not going to get through your comments on this race, so I'll have to take a break after this one for a soda and then read all the comments to catch up. This race is simply too short. The lap is too short. And there's too much to do. If it was an oval, it wouldn't be a problem. But I've got that many things to do, like brake and control, I've not got a chance. I'm going to have to get on with it. I'm going to have tunnel vision by the end of this race. What on earth was Kaznori Yamuchi doing thinking this was a good idea? This is almost as bad an idea as doing 10 laps of the test course in the Toyota Vitz, I think it was, in Gran Turismo 3. Yeah, get out of my way. This course is really not designed for Le Mans prototypes or touring cars or GT cars. It's designed for the likes of the Suzuki Swift, the Mini, the Citroën 2CV, the Nissan March, the Vauxhall Astra. It's not designed for hypercars, supercars, Le Mans cars, touring cars, NASCARs, rally cars, sports cars, tuning cars, drift cars, drag cars, muscle cars. Yep, this is one of the weirdest races I've ever done. It's a massive case of tunnel vision, really, this. As I say, it's not really about high speed, because you can't get up to speed. By the time you're at speed, you're braking again. Bear in mind, I'm doing this on hard and super hard tyres as well, so I've not really got much in the way of room to warm them up. You just seen the Pagani having trouble lapping the back markers, and the Ford GT is actually in the same problem. So they're all struggling to lap the traffic. That's the only advantage I've got here. I can get by the traffic much easier. That's right, get out of my way. I just got a message that said I was disconnected. It made me wonder if I'd lost my internet connection, but I haven't, so it's fine. So that's the only reason I stopped there, people. I do apologise. I'm coming for you, Pagani LM driver. I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to get you, Pagani driver. I'm coming to get you. And for those of you who don't know, that's a quote from the legendary Night of the Living Dead. Queen, Avian, you've no excuse for not knowing that, because it was asked in the cinema before we went to watch Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. If you two forgot that, you have no excuses. I mean, I'm catching the occasional glimpse from the chat, but I've not got full time to read it. But I know you're all saying that annoying or evil games to play in the event Sonic 06 doesn't work. I'm sure it will work. It's just that we might not fill the full times. There might need to be some backup games. In terms of bad games, oh god, I've just thought of one actually. Another Xbox 360 game. Ride to Hell Retribution. That could be a fun one to do. If we want to keep it on the same type of game, the only issue is being able to actually make the stream work, because obviously my Xbox 360 is downstairs and my setup for my PC is upstairs, so I wouldn't be able to switch platforms. So I'd have to find some other way to sort it. I mean, it is possible I could do it with a very, 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 very brief stoppage and run upstairs. You know, talk about literally a 5-minute downtime, so that might be something I can do if it's a game that I need to emulate from the PS2, because PS2 I prefer to play on PC. As you can see by the quality of the footage I'm getting from GT4, it just looks so much cleaner. As those of you there for Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga 2 and all the others that I'm doing as well will be able to tell you. Sorry, Ford driver, you're in my way. Well, I mean, the only breaks I'm allowed usually in the 24-hour ones are bathroom breaks, getting food, and the only other one I would have is when I change costume. Now, the reason there'd be a break in the stream plan is last time I did it, obviously, I did it as a 24-hour continuous stream and the system won't record it. So what I'd do is I'd actually do it in 3 parts. I'd get to 8 hours, stop, then very immediately restart the stream. Another 8 hours, stop, immediately restart the stream, you know, that kind of style. So it might be one that could be possible to time in with that, might be, as an opportunity. And just make sure I go into overtime so I've done at least 24 hours. Two laps to go. This has been one hell of a tunnel vision race. This is one of the most surreal races I've ever done. This is just weird. But we're almost at the end now, people. We're almost there. All we gotta do is see it home. Oh. Right, yeah, the Toyota RSC Raid Rally car was 4 laps down at the end. So, right, that was an intriguing race. And I've already won the championship because there's 3 races to go and I've got a 30 race point lead. So the next 3 races are dead rubbers. I can finish wherever the hell I like in these, which is cool. I've been able to get that done. So, let's get the money in the bank and then move on to the next circuit. So while we digest what that is, let's catch up with the stream chat. Yep, so I agree. The Fast Pass Plus is brilliant. And oh, Circuit de la Sarthe 2. Much more like it. Thank you very much. Yep. Oh God, Joe. You had to suggest it. You do realise that on time trial mode I'm now going to have to do that at some point. 27 laps in the Mercedes 1886. I'm going to have to do it now. I'm going to have to. You had to drop the suggestion. You had to put it in there. You had to be that cruel. Let's say crash part. The crash level, I've already done the 4 main games, so unless I played maybe Twin Sanity possibly on the PS2, that's the only one I can think of that I've not played. Kaizo Mario, no. I'm not streaming a Mario game. Nintendo will slap it down straight away, unfortunately. They're very protective of their own IPs. Nope, not happening. Mario games I don't stream live. Very, very simple. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. Not played it, so I can't comment. Might be a good suggestion? I don't know. And so after that, yeah, pretty much going into the main things, talking about what's coming up, so that's kind of cool. And there's another game called Pulse Racer. What platform's that on, Avian? I've never heard of that game before. Pulse Racer. Not a game I've heard of. But yeah, so I've got the Switch with the OLED, and that's a fantastic console to mess around with. Oh, look at that straight. I'll be able to sit back and relax and sip my soda on that one. So here we go. We are at the Circuit de la Sarthe 2. Quite ironic considering that today the Ferraris won the Le Mans 24-hour, racing in their 499 Le Mans prototype. Massive shout out to Antonio Giovinazzi, the reject from Formula 1, who became a Le Mans legend by winning it. You say it's on Xbox, but is that Xbox 360 or the original Xbox? So I've only got a 360, Avian. If it's on 360, then it's possible I can look for it. Yeah, I've not got an original Xbox, so unless I could find a way to emulate the OG Xbox. I mean, I know that if I got an Xbox One X, that's one way I could do it. The Xbox One X would allow me to do not only Xbox 360 games and OG Xbox games, but also Xbox One games. So it would expand my streaming library in many ways. There'd be some titles I could dig out, like the Forza games, for example, or the more obtuse games, like what's that Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, for example. I know that's a bad game. That's one I could do. That's an Xbox 360 game. Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Yep, so all we can do now is chill out. Oh, you've got an OG Xbox, Arista Jack. That's awesome. I don't think it has a HDMI output, but it does have either component or VGA. So with the right capture software, you can still capture footage from it. I know people do that with the original GameCube. Apparently the GameCube's now got an adapter though that you put in the front of the console, and you can use it in HD mode, which is pretty awesome. So I'll be able to get HD from a GameCube, from like a console from 2000. It's pretty spectacular. It's like me when I hook my Dreamcast up via the VGA to HDMI adapter. Yep, so this is the backside of Le Mans, and you can really see the difference that this track has on your front and rear tyres, because my front tyres are still cold. They've not had any wear, whereas the rear tyres have already been lit up. So it just shows that the 1,000 horsepower makes a colossal difference. Yeah, the official component cable will be expensive, Arista Jack, so it'll be rare. It's like the official VGA adapter for the Xbox original. That's quite expensive as well. But a lot of people they buy a third-party one, and it goes into the front slot where the cartridges are. So it's a bit like, it's not quite the GameCube adapt, it's not quite the Game Boy Advance adapting point, but it mounts in there somehow. I remember, I think it was Metal Jesus Rocks showed it off on one of his shows once. I remember seeing it. Someone else also did a hilariously bad clickbait video where they put the title as, "This cable broke my GameCube." The cable didn't break the GameCube. What they did was have it on 4-player via HDMI as someone rigorously pulled their GameCube off the table in rage. The cable had nothing to do with it, it was just really bad clickbait. I don't know who that YouTube creator was, but shame on you. I hate that. This part is not much to comment on. It's just go as fast as you can. Oddly enough, it was this straight that inspired Peugeot's 405 branding. The reason, they basically decided in one of their Le Mans cars to turn up, remove all the restrictors in the middle of the race, and go as fast as they could. The engine blew up like after 2 laps, but they set a speed record that's never been topped. At that point, the organisers of the Le Mans went, right, this is getting silly now, we're stopping this, and they added the chicanes because it was getting too dangerous. I'll say, if you are a fan of Le Mans, by the way, make sure, if you've not already seen it, to research Mike Hawthorne Onboard 1956. It's possibly the first ever onboard car footage I've ever seen. It's all in black and white. He's driving a Jaguar D-Type, and it is amazing. The quality still holds up even now. It's more than 50 years old, that footage. In fact, I know it's nearly 70 years old, that footage, and it is still incredible. Well worth digging out. It's on YouTube. It's only about 5 minutes long. If you're really interested in historical racing, do check that footage out. I think it was, Joe, yeah, I think it was 415, so they decided to go with the 405, and I think it was because it was like the next evolution of their actual branding, because they had cars like the 303 which would be used in Africa, and they thought, oh, the 405, yeah, that's a good name. And of course from there came the 205, etc, etc. I've not seen any of his videos for quite some time, Aristide, but cool that you watch him and you get some good games to collect for the console. If you like your racing games, I recommend Project Gotham Racing. That was a really unique game. It was basically the unofficial sequel to the Dreamcast title, Metropolis Street Racer. Really good game. It's one of the few racing games I've ever seen where you can use both cars and motorcycles in a sim racer. Most games choose either or, but Project Gotham Racing let you use both, and you actually could have races against both as well, so it was quite interesting. If you're on somewhere like the Nürburgring and you're trying to take a corner and the motorcycle tries to go around a totally different line to you, it's quite unique. It's something I've not seen since, I don't think, outside of maybe the GTA games. El Capitan, and we're in reverse. Nice. Be wary of making a wish list for your games, Marister Jack. You might be shocked at some of the prices. In fact, speaking of prices, one thing I do want to talk about briefly. At Anime North, obviously there were many traders of different types there. And we saw a trader who was selling Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon cards. We saw a 1999 Charizard, and they wanted 1,600 Canadian dollars for it. Oh yeah! Go to a convention for a weekend, spend $1,600 on a card. Yes, that was there for sale. We actually saw it. Our eyes watered. It's the most expensive thing I've ever seen at a con. I've never seen anything that expensive before. Even going to the retro games consoles where people are selling shows where they're selling the likes of the Atari 2600 and the NES, and they're selling games like Panzer Dragoon Zwei. Even they have not been that expensive. To give you an idea, people, by the way, that converts at more than £1,000 for a Pokemon card. So if you have that card in your collection, you are sitting on a gold mine. If you have that collection somewhere in your attic, or if your mum kept all your cards when you moved out, go over there and very quietly half-inch it back. You have no idea of the nest egg you might be sitting on. And bear in mind, this wasn't actually in its original sealed packaging. It wasn't in one of those WATA rated card boxes or anything like that. It was just in the wallet amongst all the others. It was there, it was flanked by cards that were like maybe as high as $100 or even $50, and then right in the middle, $1,600. Yes, Avian, you were tempted to buy that, weren't you? No. No, they weren't. Trust me, they weren't. Yeah, so sometimes there are those of us who don't realise what we have in our collections. You don't realise just how rare something is. Yep, I'm the same as you, Avian. My money can happily sit in my bank account. I'm not spending it on that. Yeah, to give you an idea, by the way, people, that was pretty much my spending budget for the entire 3 weeks I was over in Canada. And I suppose if I technically factor in the hotels and everything else that I paid for, it pretty much was my spending budget. So what cosplays did I go into Anime North Harrister Jack? There were two that I wore. I wore on the Friday when I was there for a shortened day, I wore Sailor Jupiter from Sailor Moon, who I brought back again on the Sunday because there was actually a meet-up of Sailor Moon fans. It was the only meet-up I've been to for Sailor Moon where there was one Usagi. There was two Sailor Jupiters, there was a Sailor Pluto, and there were even some bad guys, but there was only one Sailor Moon, which was a bit odd. And then on the Saturday I did Alice from Shin Megami Tensei. I was going to do Genocide Jack from Danganronpa, but I was when the forecast was so hot, I'd have had literally long sleeves and a really long skirt. It would have been very, very hell. Plus that costume is 100% polyester. So it's not exactly the most comfortable thing to wear in the middle of summer. It's quite irritating. So I quietly retired the Genocider back to my bag, and I brought Sailor Jupiter out the second time. And yes, I did indeed go with friends, Harrister Jack. That was part of the whole reason I went to Canada. Meet my friends and go to the con. It was brilliant. Again, if you're interested in photos, check out my Instagram, cos_swishbone. I've got loads of photos on that. I prefer to put photos on Instagram because I don't get as much hate as I do on Facebook. And so it's funny because I'm back on the convention circuit in a couple of weeks. End of the month I'm back at Sunnycon with Nerdy Hound in Newcastle. That's going to be fun. One of my highlights of the year going to Sunnycon. Especially since this year, one of the guests is Laura Stahl, who is the voice actress. Most people will know her from a character from Genshin Impact, but I don't care about that personally. I care about the fact that she was the voice actress for Nana from Soul Hackers 2 and Setsuna Yuki from Love Live Nijigasaki. So I'll be going out of my way to meet her because she's awesome. Those characters are both really cool. Oh, what the... My car suddenly developed a turning circle as bad as a truck then. I think that's probably because I was on completely the wrong line and I got dirty tyres. No big deal. I'm that far ahead, it's not going to affect the result of the race. There was one downside to cosplaying Sailor Jupiter though from Sailor Moon. I had to shave my legs 3 days in a row. I now know how women feel. Everyone complains that guys complain about shaving their beards. Trust me, all's forgiven compared to constantly shaving your legs. Excellent, we've got one more race and then this championship is over. I'm amazed this championship's gone on as long as it has. The championships in the extreme events, it seems, are long form races. They're not designed to be beaten in one track. Now, Avian, you can't say welcome to womanhood for me. You saw how convincing I wasn't. That's not fair. You can't say welcome to womanhood. But the thing is, I've got to do it all again because when I'm at Sunnycon at the end of the month, ooh, we're doing the Côte d'Azur. We're going to Monaco for our final race. When I'm at Sunnycon, I'm cosplaying Takami Chica from Love Live Sunshine, and I'm going to have to shave my legs for her because she has legs exposed. Yeah, Arista Jack, that's a strange look. It's like me with Sailor Jupiter. There's no way Sailor Jupiter's having hairy legs. No way. Actually, speaking of when I cosplayed as Sailor Jupiter, one kind of funny but actually really appreciated moment happened. On the morning of the Sunday, I'd stopped at this little coffee shop that was like, or coffee van should I say, that was at the convention that did an amazing dirty chai oat latte. Yes, that's a thing, and yes, it was bloody delicious. And I'm there drinking it as I'm walking alongside one of my friends off to the convention. And all of a sudden I hear this voice go, "I walk alongside." And I'm like, thinking, yeah, whatever. And it was only as I realised that my pace was being matched. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Then fortunately Queen figured it out and realised this person wanted a photo of me in my cosplay and they didn't want to stop me while I was drinking. Really appreciate that. It was just so weird. I'm like, why have we got someone randomly walking alongside us, matching our pace? What's going on here? Are you lost? Can I help you? That's kind of the questions that were going through my mind. So thank you for the rescue on that one, Queen. Because I was as oblivious as ever. Me? Oblivious? As if. As if that'd ever change. Yes, very yummy coffee, Avian. You're not wrong. Coffee is delicious. I love coffee. I actually had coffee today where I put in some maple syrup into it. Just as an experiment. It tasted bloody lovely, actually. I really liked it. Give it a nice nutty flavour. Because I've got some pancake batter mix to use the rest of it with, but I thought I'd just put it in my coffee just out of curiosity. I was like, lovely. Avian, if you're happy with me sharing the story about that, I'll happily share the story of it, or you can type it in the comments. The corn holders was a very special level of weird, it must be said. You're welcome, Avian. Yep, you're welcome for that one. I just thought about it, because like, you always see coffee shops having syrups, and I thought, well, why not just have maple syrup to my coffee then? Ah, cool, right, okay. So yes, basically, outside of the convention and like theme parks and everything else I got to weekend, me, Avian and Queen were exploring a certain area of Toronto known as the Danforth. Really quite cool place, loads of independent shops, amazing restaurants. Basically like if you go to any old area of a town, you see all the old shops kind of thing. Well, we were in a hardware store, looking to get some barbecue equipment. So, Avian's there, looking at like tongs for pulling steaks off and skewers and all other kinds of stuff for the good old boys who like to make the steaks, kind of thing. And all of a sudden, this random old guy who was either in his 60s or his 70s just suddenly decided to lean right in close and go, "Do you like these?" Pointing at holders designed for corn on the cob. I'm stood there really confused, and I'm pretty sure Queen's the same. And Avian, God bless you, didn't even realise. So questioning again. "I said, do you like these?" At this point, I'm thinking, I better crack my knuckles and get ready to throw this guy out. Fortuitously, Avian was able to collect themselves and go, "No, why?" And they left in a huff. And to this day, it was like, you know those stories of "I don't work here, lady"? It wasn't quite in that ballpark. It was just weird. Like, you know, imagine you're in a random store and someone just comes up to you and goes, "What are you buying?" You know, it'd freak you the fuck out, wouldn't it? And that's exactly what happened. We're just like, what the hell is this? Oh, Alistair Jack, out. Now. Get the fuck out of here. Right now. That way. Door. I'm not letting that one slide. Get out. And you were very, very honest indeed. I just don't think he appreciated it, and that's the problem. I don't think honesty is what he was quite expecting, was he, really? Well, Alistair Jack, I'm afraid I've got to rescind the order, because it seems that Avian's joined you in the joke. It's now been underwritten. There's nothing I can do. Yes, stranger dude, wherever you are, please, don't go into that store again. No, it wasn't a fail, Avian. It got rid of him. That wasn't a fail at all. He asked your opinion, you gave it, he didn't like it, he pissed off, and nothing of value was lost. It's fine. Honesty worked. Seriously, Joe, it was just such a bizarre thing to happen. It's like, as I say, according to the staff of the store, apparently he has a habit of doing it as well. You'd have thought he'd have gone over at this point and gone, "Will you please stop hassling customers like that? It's bad for business." He probably meant, he clearly meant no harm at all, but it's just like, I'm here to kindly look at stuff and not be bothered. Will you kindly, like, leave me alone? Please. Well, it's like Alistair Jack, I'm sure at some point our paths will cross. It's just a matter of when, really. As I said, a lot of the cons at the moment have either been when I've been busy elsewhere or been out of the country. I keep getting invited to conventions I'm not going to. And I'm like, right, well, I'm not going, so there's no point me joining the group, I'm sorry. I keep getting, like, you know, things like that from loads of different people. "Oh, I'll see you at this con." No, you won't. I'm not there. It's not in my plans. So I'm sorry, guys, I'm busy that weekend. As I say, SunnyCon's my next con, and then after that, I don't think I've got a con until maybe October when I might be doing Play Expo again in Blackpool. That's not confirmed because one of the people who I usually go with has finally come available, so I need to know if they're still going. And if they are, I'll sort it out. I say a lot of the cons up here now, they're all run by companies I don't want to support. There was one today at Leeds Armoury, and I refused to support it because of the organiser. I say I don't want to go into too much drama, but all I will say is that, well, it's not even drama. But the organiser of this event has a history that I won't endorse in any way. That's all I'm going to say. And that's the problem with the north of England. A lot of our cons are run by individuals we don't want to do business with. But that's why I'm doing SunnyCon, because Tucker's and the guys up there, they're amazing. And I'll be looking forward to seeing what they've got planned for us this weekend. Well, this month, should I say, at the end of the month. We're on to the final lap. Here we go. Into Sandevot. Take the Sergio Perez line. Write my car off. Too soon. I actually managed to miss all 3 of the F1 races. There was 3 F1 races when I was in Canada. And then, of course, I come back to the UK a week before the Canadian race happens. Only I could schedule it like that. But you know what? I'm not going to change it, because what I got up to while I was out there was more amazing. And to be fair, from what I've seen of the races online, I didn't miss too much. I'll say Aristojet SunnyCon's great. It's like literally a 3-day con with all kinds of cool events and amazing people, brilliant layout. And it's just really friendly. It's one of the safest cons I've ever been to. I've never felt in any danger there. I've never felt like anyone's been creeping or anything. In fact, last year when me and Nerdy Hound went, we went to the after party on the Saturday night, and it was around about midnight when we decided to get an Uber back to our hotel. And by chance, we went to a bar near the front of the football stadium because it'd be the easiest place to be picked up from. And while we were there, we noticed these 2 cosplayers being shadowed by a bunch of people in high-vis jackets saying, "We've already ejected the person involved. However, these are my contact details. You must notify me you're back safely. When you're here tomorrow, please check in again, and we'll do everything to make sure everything's alright." So it's quite clear that someone had been a creep last year, and the staff would not accept it in any way. So big ups to the people at SunnyCon for that. I don't know who it was who was taken advantage of, and I'm sorry it happened, but I want to say a massive thank you to the organisers for stepping in and making sure that we're alright. Because you don't see that on a lot of cons. There's a lot of cons where it's a case of, "Sorry Captain, this time you're on your own," and it wasn't like that at SunnyCon. That's why I really like it. There is one thing about Anime North that I'm disappointed in, though. I didn't get to see the religious protesters. Apparently, normally every year there's a bunch of people who come out to protest it and say it's against God. I wanted to see I wanted to see it. I didn't want to take part in it in any way, but I just wanted to see what had happened. It didn't turn up. Maybe they heard I was coming and went, "Oh God, no, that arsehole's coming over here. Let's not endorse it." Right, what car have we got? We've got... Oh, nice, the Nissan GTR LM. That looks like a nice car, actually. In fact, there's potentially a series of races I might be able to use that for. If I very quickly go into it. Where are you? You can't hide forever. There you are. 626 brake horsepower. Very nice looking car. So you were surprised as well, Queen and Avian. Again, as I say, maybe they heard that I was coming and they didn't want me around. I don't know. Or maybe they finally realised that the world has moved on. I don't know. But whatever the reason, they weren't there. Yeah, Aristojack, you're not wrong. They do cause a nuisance, and they do cause a disturbance, and they do cause antipathy. But unfortunately what a protest is about. Usually it's about raising awareness to a cause. And some causes it's worth protesting. Like erosion of civil rights or, you know, imposing unfair immigration rules. But when it comes to people dressing up as characters and having fun over a weekend, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Disturbing the peace? Oddly enough, in the UK, that's one of our most common police charges, but no one can define what it means. It's like, I'm going to arrest you for the breach of the peace. Can you define what that means? No. Oh, okay. And yes, this car qualifies. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to OP it. We're at Twin Ring Motegi. 10 laps. 10 laps at Twin Ring Motegi? Wow. Is it the full course or is it the short course? It's known as the road course. That tells me it's going to be the full course. Oh, wow, it is the full course. I am absolutely flabbergasted. Wow. I did not expect that. That's a long race. But yeah, this should be a case of why do I hear boss music? There should be very few of these cars that can hold a candle to me. You all might be driving my favourite car of all time, but sorry, I am a gulf above you. Although the engine sounds horrible. Listen to that engine. That's pathetic. It's also got a pathetic top speed, so I need to change the gear ratios. No worries, Ashley Jack, you guys get yourself some sleep. Absolutely fine, mate. You enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll catch you on a future stream, I guess. But yeah, this is going to be a long tournament, this, people. I didn't realise I didn't think it'd be this long. I'm quite surprised. Hopefully there'll be a good prize waiting at the end of it. It better not be another bleeding pace car. I'll be annoyed if it is. Oh god, that engine is pathetic. That's what it sounds like. It's very, very grippy though. It's very grippy to drive. This would have been a great car to take into the, you know, the race that I did in the Mercedes DTM car. This would have been a great car for that. Because it just has so much grip. Apart from when you go too far around like that. But yeah, get ready for the long haul, people. This is going to be a much longer race than I thought. Off. So I've got a fly or something swarming around in my room because, of course, it's summer, and wildlife likes to come out in the middle of summer, doesn't it? It's very hot over here. Today we hit like 28 degrees, which is about the temperature I had in Canada, actually, so it's not much of a change. Yes, that's right, people. Shock horror. Canada's not always cold. Yeah. You learn something new every day, don't you, people? There's not much to really say on this race at the moment. The car is go burr. It's fast, it's accurate, it's got a lot of speed. It has a terrible sounding engine, but what does that matter when you're dominating this level? Look how far ahead I am compared to the rest of the field. You hate summer, do you, Joe? What is it you hate about it, apart from the heat, the humidity, the bugs, the fact that it gets dark so late that you barely get any sleep, the people drinking all day and making loads of disturbances, the beer bellies that people put on display and have no shame for. Yeah, it's just you can't stand the heat. I get it, I really do. As I say, when I was in Canada at Anima North, it was like a blessing in many ways to play characters where my legs were on display and I could get some air onto my legs. Downside, I inadvertently got badly sunburned on the final day. I didn't realise it. I'm there after going back to my hotel, and I'm thinking, I'm feeling really uncomfortable when I'm sat at the edge of something. Why is that? And then when I got into the shower, I realised it. When the water hit the back of my legs and it stung, I'm like, that's why. I'm sunburnt to fuck. Because of course, being from the north of England and about as and whiter than sour cream, when I get put in the sun for more than an hour, I go beetroot red. Even if I put like Factor SPF 50 sun cream on, I'm still going to get some kind of burn or tan. I'm meant to be stuck in the grim frozen north where it gets no more than 12 degrees. So being anywhere that's hot and bright, my body doesn't like it very much. I'm not quite so bad that I get sunburned watching fireworks, but it's not far off. So I once made the mistake of going to Japan in August. That was the most oppressive heat ever. It was like I'd stuck my head inside an oven because you could chew the heat. It was that thick. Yeah, that was a rude awakening. Now we're on an air-conditioned train. Oh, this is lovely, yeah, but it's going to be really nice here in Japan. Step onto the platform. Ah, what the hell? And then I'm like, I'm here for a month. Oh my god. You could say it was a baptism of fire. Yeah. Yeah, where's Aristotle Jack when I need him to laugh at that one? So if it wasn't for the engine sounding so gutless, I'd actually quite like driving this car. The engine's really off-putting as a noise. Oh, this poor car is totally out of its league. Yeah, in the middle of summer, Joe, it gets incredibly hot in Japan. I think part of it depends on where you are. If you're in like Hokkaido, you're quite far north. You're not too far from the tips of Russia, so up there it can actually be quite pleasant. But if you're in Tokyo or further south and west, like Kyoto, Fukuoka, Hiroshima, Okinawa, you are going to be badly affected. Two in one corner, beautiful. So this car is easy to drive. It is one of the easiest cars I've ever had to drive. It is just beautiful. It is easy to drive. I will give it that much. It's definitely the kind of car I could have took on that touring car JDM, let JDM cars challenge with absolutely easily. And it'd have been a joy to experience the race in that. But it was good in the DTM car, to be fair. The DTM car was great. I enjoyed that race. So I do need to get back into the endurance race at some point, but that'll be for a future stream. Of course, I am back on Tuesday evening when we're going to go back to Resident Evil 4 Remake for the first time in quite some time. I'm now in a position where I feel it's suitable to pick that game back up. You know, it's been good doing the auto racing. It was great to go out of Canada, and it kind of gave me the reset I needed following what happened in April. So we're going to go back to full strength. The time is right to move forward. Well, this is looking like a fast lap. Am I going to set a new record? Not quite. Oh, I'm not setting any records like that. I could feel my car going off the circuit. Not that it matters, I've got a lead that's easily 20 seconds, 25 seconds, maybe even 30 seconds. Yeah, see, it's almost 30 seconds my lead. I've got yellow tyres, but they should easily hold up to the end. I just got to hope the other races aren't as long as this one. If they are, it's going to be a long championship to get through. Much longer than I expected. I didn't expect this one to be so... I know it was an international A one, but I didn't think it was going to be that long. I'm quite surprised. Oh! Got a nice kick of oversteer when I went onto the curb then. That's kind of realistic. Took too much curb, too much confidence, too much power, and it sent me sideways. So for a four-wheel drive car, this has not got the understeer problem you normally get with them. Normally four-wheel drive cars, they struggle to turn in, because if anyone has driven a front-wheel drive car will tell you, when you're trying to move forward and turn at the same time, what you normally generate is torque steer, and therefore you either go far too sharp into the corner and the traction control kills all movement, or it generates understeer because the tyres can't plant the grip. So when you got four-wheel drive, you find that you get stuck in between both. But this car doesn't seem to have that problem, which is quite nice, very refreshing. But it is based on the Nissan GTR, and anyone who's seen the GTR, it's self-driving, it's one of the fastest things there is. It was once described as being able to corner as fast as electricity, which I don't quite believe, but it's certainly got a lot of grip. Oddly enough, I may have to go into the pits, and if I do that, I'm in trouble, because I might actually lose my lead. So I'm going to have to be cautious here and try and keep my tyres alive. But the problem is I'm getting a lot of understeer now. Difficult one. My lead has catapulted even higher, to be fair. And I won't need to refuel. So there is that to it as well. So I've got enough time to go to a stop. Yeah, I've got a minute lead. I'm not under any threat here. Oh, that's a really good question actually, Joe. Which do I think is better, front-wheel drive, rear or four-wheel drive? A lot of it depends on what you're using the car for. Over here in the UK, it's probably going to be front-wheel drive. The reason being, we have a lot of roads which are very badly paved. So whenever it gets very wet or icy, it is very difficult to control the car if you're using a rear-wheel drive car. And a lot of our four-wheel drive cars are far too expensive. So if you're just buying a general car, like to get around town in, something like a Citroen C1, C2, a Peugeot 307, a Nissan Micra, a Toyota Yaris, something like that, then the general use, it'd be front-wheel drive. If I was doing it competitively, and money was no object, it would probably be rear-wheel drive, because you only have to look at some of the cars that would fall into that royalty. You've got the Vauxhall VXR Monaro, you've got the Lotus Carlton, you've got the Mercedes SLK, you've got the BMW M3, you've got the only cars that are four-wheel drive that would be, if money was no object, there'd be two four-wheel drive cars I'd own. One is the R34 Nissan Skyline from 1999 to 2001. Not sure which I'd get. It'd be a GTR V-Spec though, to tell you that for free. And then the other is the legendary Ford Escort RS Cosworth. They're the only cars I can think of that are four-wheel drive that would be demonstrably better than rear-wheel drive cars as cars to use in general. Maybe the Lancia Delta Integrale, but they're so expensive and so rare, I wouldn't want to drive one anyway. So in a roundabout way, I've found an advantage to all three of them. But in general, for someone who's a regular user of a car, I think front-wheel drive is the best bet. And BBC, if you bring Top Gear back and you need a new presenter, I'm available. DMs are open. Please contact me. What about you, Joe? Do you have any particular perspective or choice that you'd go for? Is there any particular car that you would get if you had the ability? We all have our dream cars. Yeah, this race has been much longer than I thought it would be. I'm surprised. I don't think the Nissan R Legend of the R emblem would be to take this long to do. I'm rather shocked. This is, yeah, the gearing on this is very, very strange. It's like the first 4 gears are short boxed, and then the 5th gear is long boxed. And the problem with that is you have loads of acceleration in the early part, get out of the way, and then you get stuck for absolutely ages. I'll have to look at what gear setup they've gone for this, because something about the gearing on this car is really, really weird. Final lap, here we go. Oh, excellent choice there. So you'd have a sleeker SS2 for a front-wheel drive. For a rear, it'd be a BMW M3 and a 4-wheel drive Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX for 4-wheel drive. So, interesting series of choices. The Mitsubishi, I'm surprised you're not gone for the Evo, like the Evo 5 or the Evo 6. The Lancer, they were an amazing car. And of course, the 3000 GT was a great machine as well. But I've not driven the Eclipse, so I can't comment on that one. So for 4-wheel drive for me, it is, was and always will be the R34 Skyline. Absolutely beautiful car. It's got the biggest reputation in the world. So for rear-wheel drive, I'd probably go for either the Lotus Carlton or the Vauxhall VXR Monaro. I quite like the more simple design for them in many ways. They're not overladen with like loads of extra features. It's like, I remember the Vauxhall VXR Monaro had a 500 brake horsepower engine thanks to a tuning company, and it had 2 traction control settings, on and off. There wasn't like loads of camber settings or anything that's like that. It's like, do you want to go drifting or do you want to drive? Choose your mode, and that was it. I love that simplicity of it. Reminds me in many ways of the old classic muscle cars. It's designed just to go fast. But yeah, the V-Spec 2 or the V-Spec NER, loads of different Skylines, but the GTR concept wins by a country mile, and it still takes a long time. So I might need to go and sort of upgrade this car. Not because I need it to win, that's not the issue. If the races are going to be this long, I want to speed it up. Oh, what? I didn't want to do that. That was an accident. I accidentally went back to restart the race. I didn't want to do that. That was me being an idiot. So, we have 6 laps of Trial Mountain. That's much more manageable. 4 laps of Fuji Speedway. That's much more manageable. The Suzuka, 6 laps of Suzuka. Ugh. The middle races aren't too bad, actually. I'm going to do Trial Mountain as it is. Trial Mountain should be a bit better. It won't take us long. And we're going in reverse. Okay, fair enough. Through the kink, no issues there. Up the hill and into the hairpin bend. So this circuit is amazing. I love Trial Mountain. I don't like what they've done to it in GT7, but this version of it and the version from like GT5, GT3, GT1 and 2, absolutely magnificent. So cool. Although I will say, in GT7, I do love the driving mission that you can unlock, where you drive a Ford F-150 pickup truck and have to try and get around it with almost no fuel. That challenge is really interesting and innovative. I love that challenge, it was brilliant. So you love the gearing of this car. I find the gearing strange. It's like it goes really, really rapid through the first 4 gears and then slow. It's an odd one. It's like it's almost designed to be a rally car. Oh, what the? I got that wrong. Yep, I got that badly wrong. That was poor. Yeah, see, the 1 lap time here is faster than Motegi, and there's less laps to do. I'm confused by the distance of the Motegi race. I wonder if that's a glitch. I wonder if it was meant to be a different layout, you know, like the faster version. Oh, yeah, we're going rally driving. Not the fastest way around Trial Mountain. So if it wasn't for the engine sound, I'd love this car. I mean, it's great to drive. Ah, no worries, Queen. Yep, get some food cooked. That's absolutely fine. No problem at all. I didn't have to do any prep for my tea tonight. I got lucky when I was in the grocery store earlier. Saw some vegan sushi available, so I bought that. It was okay, a bit mediocre. It wasn't brilliant, but it'll do. So grocery store sushi is not exactly brilliant. To the wall, all good. Yep, on the inside, clipping the outside apex, pretty good. Okay. So I don't know why the modern circuit doesn't feel as magical. There's something about the magic which is gone, and I don't know. I don't think it's just the chicane. There's something about it that kind of just doesn't feel right in the modern game, and I don't know what it is. Right, on the brakes, and then we'll clip the inside apex there. That's good. Okay. Didn't quite get my line right there, but no big deal. We can get away with that. Oh, that corner's much tighter on this line. It's interesting, in reverse, that corner is way tighter than the other way round. It shows where the corner has kind of got a concealed entry point, if you know what I mean. I think it's because you brake so hard going downhill into the 90-degree corner, you don't really have much power to play with. Maybe that's the reason why. Oh, that's the worst feeling in the world in summer. You're not wrong, the pair of you have raised a great point there. For Fiona and Joe, about when you feel there's no air. Ugh, that's what it was like in Japan when I was there in August 2023. That was not 2023, sorry, 2013. It was 10 years ago. 10 years ago I was in Japan during the summer, and it was incredibly hot. That was when I had a lot longer hair and I had a much bigger belly. Things have changed. Ooh, getting very big jerkiness over for some reason. I don't know why that is. A lot of jerkiness. So the emulation isn't perfect, I'm afraid, people. Yeah, that's pretty good. 144 miles an hour, that's pretty awesome. And then we're into this final part here. So I don't mind the cold, Joe. It depends on like the way it is. If it's in the outside, I don't mind. But when you're sat in your house and you can't warm your house up, that's a problem. That's the issue for me. That's when cold becomes a problem. Reminds me of an episode of Batman the Animated Series when when Hugo Strange flies out Joker, Two-Face and Penguin, and Joker gets off the plane and goes, "Oh, fresh air! I hate it." Oh yes, nailed! That was perfect. Yeah, I don't really want to discuss the way people expire, thank you. I'd like that to be kept out of my chat. I don't think it's appropriate to talk about the best ways for people to exit this world. Thank you very much. I know I said I'm trying to move forward and everything else, but there are some things that are still a bit raw, thank you. Yeah, 8 minutes, much better than 13. God knows why the Twin Rim Matega race was so long. They could have cut at least 3 laps off that race, made it a 7-lap race. Instead they made it 10 for whatever reason. No big deal, we win. So we're now moving forward on to the next race, which is going to be in Fuji Speedway. No one's saying anyone's at fault, Fiona. I'm just saying I'd ask that you please don't discuss that topic in my chat. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's like, that'd be like saying that if you watched a video that featured the Nationalist Socialist Party of Germany from the 1940s and you started walking out doing certain hand signals, you can't say it ain't your fault for that. That'd be a ludicrous thing to say. You know, I'd ask that discussions of the way people exit this world, please don't put it in my chat. Thank you very much. It's a very simple request, and I respect you all to believe you'll respect my wishes. Not only because I don't want that topic in my chat anyway, but also because in the past YouTube has taken that as some kind of flag to suggest I'm encouraging people to do certain things and try and block my channel. There have been many content creators who've had to censor content after the fact because something's been said that's triggered some kind of bot somewhere. And I don't want to fall into that if I can avoid it. Especially since we're talking about auto racing tonight, so it's not really appropriate to talk about the way people exit the world. Unless we're discussing Romain Grosjean's crash in the Bahrain race in 2020 maybe. Or Jules Bianchi in 2015 at Suzuka, but we're not discussing that. Gotta say, this is an interesting one. This is going to be over in less than 5 minutes. I don't get it. Why are the races so random in the timings? One's 15 minutes, one's like 8 minutes, and now one appears to be over in less than 5. The pacing of these races is just perplexing at best. I don't think I'm going to be in a position to lap the field here. I don't think I will anyway. Let's see. If I lap the field, I'll be in a 4-lap race, and that just shows how broken the car choice I've gone for is. But let's find out. Yep, flat out, no stopping, in we go. You raise a point, Avian. Yeah, it could be randomised. It could be designed to test the endurance setup of the cars. I don't know. It's just... As I say, it's just a weird one. I don't get why the first race was so long. It felt like it was more suitable for the World Championship, you know, in terms of its length. There are times, I must admit, Adrian, it does feel like random tracks are put together. Hi to that random bleeding driving course track in the middle of the last championship for 27 laps for no reason. Yeah, you're right, it is random, it has to be. The fact that that race even exists says it all. I don't know what the developers were thinking with that one. That's a very, very weird pacing choice. Almost as weird as me thinking that was a fast way through that hairpin corner. Newsflash, it wasn't. On we go. Yep, that off has cost me quite a bit of time. I've actually gone slower on this lap, but that's not a surprise. And now we head deeper into the brakes. Downhill braking zone. Absolutely nailed. Perfect. Autumn is lush, I must admit. I do love autumn. When it's proper autumn. So it's still warm, but you've got all the colour of the leaves falling, and you've got the the slightly light nights, but not too light. So by the time it's like, say, 7:30, it starts getting proper sundown. That's nice. It's actually a really quite romantic time. Well, we're not lapping the field, but we're going to come close. Yeah, check it out. There were two cars that were saved the embarrassment. Oh, and then I've punted him right up the rear end. I've got my braking point wrong. Tattooed my front badge to the back of his chassis. Stamped my authority all over the back of his car. Now, it seems autumn's quite a popular season then, according to the chat. I'm not really surprised, to be honest. As you say, it's not too hot. It's got the nice colour changes. You mentioned the sunsets being nice and softer toned. Avian, you're not wrong. And then we're going to New York. The wild series of races features the famous skyline, the directs and the race models that blast through the competition. Indeed it does. My car certainly does anyway. So here we are at New York, New York. Park Life. What's that, Fiona? I've never heard of Park Life. What is it? You say it caused public transport delays. I've no idea what it is. All I will say, by the way, if you're planning to go into Manchester tomorrow, don't, is my advice. If you're in the UK and you're planning to go to Manchester, scratch tomorrow off the list. Because there's going to be an open-top parade because a overrated soccer team won a tournament last night. and they're doing a full open-top parade through the entire city. They're going to gridlock the entire place down, trust me. If there's anywhere you don't want to be tomorrow, it's Manchester. I will be working from home. There will be no doubt about that. And that's my Top Gear top tip for tonight, people. Avoid Manchester tomorrow. So, in terms of a city course, this is actually a brilliant one. I do like the New York circuit. It's got nice graphical finesse to it. It's got some great flowing corners. It's got a load of straightaway. It's got some unusual challenges like the kink there, which throws you off. Yeah, it's fine if you live in Manchester. That's okay. I'm just saying, don't go towards the centre. Stay away from it. So this race will take a little longer as well, but it's not going to be as long as the Motegi race. I just got to hope that Suzuka has a better amount. So far the laps have been fairer, but I didn't see how many laps the Suzuka one has. I think it has 10 laps, so they might bookend it with long races. Yeah, I must say, you talk about planning there, Avian. I don't know if that's an interesting way of starting a family. It's not something I've ever considered. Then again, I've not got much interest in having children, to be honest. One, I'm way too old now, but more importantly, I think the world's too fucked to bring new life into. Ah, so it's a music festival, Park Life. Right, fair enough. As I say, it's interesting. So I'm not familiar with it, but the fact there was a load of transportation is suggests there's quite a lot of big acts there. If it's 6 laps, then I'll do it as it is. I won't waste time doing any further upgrades or anything. There's no point, because the car's clearly got the pace to win. It's not the pace to win that's the issue. It's the length of time. It suggests then that Motegi was a glitch and should have been shorter race, because if all the others are like 6 or 7 laps, why is Motegi 10? It just seems to be an outlier for the sake of being an outlier. Well, here's a challenge for you all. Next time we go through that hairpin, look on both sides of the track and tell me which companies you see logos for and how many of them still exist. That's what I'd like you all to do. A little bit of a challenge from me, to give you something to do other than talk about Park Life, because none of us know what it is. Ah, Avian, yes, spoiling rescue dogs. Can understand that, definitely. I can understand the appeal of that. Oh, no, I took that corner way too soon. Got too greedy on the apex and it threw me into the barrier. Yeah, the final hairpin. Basically, what I'm saying, Joe, is the hairpin at not the end of the straight. I got distracted by the chat then, that was my fault. Actually, no, I didn't get distracted by the chat. I got distracted because I looked at the chat. The chat did nothing to distract me. Basically, the end of this straight now coming up, you got the double apex corner, the double apex hairpin. Essentially, on the build-up to and around, keep an eye out for all the company logos and tell me just how many you see and how many of them still exist. We've got the usual ones like Pirelli and Magneti Marelli, but look at the other ones. See if there's any you can spot. That's right, yes, the long needle part area. What video game convention is that, out of curiosity, Fiona? Because the only video game convention I know that's coming up aside from EGX is Play Expo in Blackpool in October. I'm not familiar with one in Nottingham. It sounds interesting. So I've had a shout out for Cac Donald and LG in the chat. There are a couple already. I saw many more, but I'd love to see if there's any more you can figure out. And as, not this lap, but the lap after is the final lap, I'll give you these next 2 attempts, and then on lap 6, what I'm going to do is pause it, and we'll just do a very quick run through of the ones we can see. Yeah, you say it's a bit fast to pick out too many, and obviously the resolution of them's not entirely brilliant either. But yeah, you never paid attention to that MACD logo. As I said, there's loads. There's absolutely tons of them. Shout out for Coca-Cola. Yep, they're in the background too. Makes me wonder how many of these were actually licensed, by the way. I don't actually know if these have been slipped in as Easter eggs and they're not officially licensed. Infinity does indeed count. Yes, it's a car brand. I don't know if they're actually in this game as a car brand, but yes, the Infinity logo right over the back of the hotel, that's definitely one on count. They are the luxury version of Renault, basically. Like when Red Bull, for a while, they went by the name Infinity Red Bull Racing in about 2012, 2013, I think. And they were like the luxury car version of Renault Nissan. Much like Lexus is the luxury car version of Toyota. I think Infinity are predominantly sold in America. From memory, I think they're predominantly sold there. But as I say, on the next lap, what I'll do is I'll pause at various points and point out other ones I've spotted, if you haven't already called them out in the chat. Because there are a couple that haven't been called yet. And this is why it's kind of cool to go back and visit a game like this for things that you may not have noticed when you were playing the game years ago on a PlayStation 2 on a CRT in 240p or 360p. You're pretty sure you saw the Sprite logo, the Sprite can near there? It wouldn't surprise me. Yep, Cadillac, that's another one, Joe. Absolutely, Cadillac are there. They're quite correct. And you say there's a pizza sign, Avian. Well, let's keep an eye out for that in case it's like a random pizza company or another inclusion. So I'll point out a few that I think I've noticed as well. And I'm going to start with one that's technically not in the region you're seeing it, but I want to know, and there's a certain area of the chat who can help with this, but I believe on the right there, is that meant to be the Canadian ginger beer? It's very low res, so it could be. I don't know if it is. We also have McDonald's there, as you can see already. But crucially, if you look right above the pause screen, you can see the logo for Virgin, who were in F1 until 2014. Technically. Moving further down, we've got Panasonic on the TV there. You can see them on the side as well. You've got the stock market actually having some stock logos in there. And then right next to it, the JVC logo. So there's the JVC as well. So they're there, right on the world globe. You can see that. Moving further down into the corner here, which is about to break. We've got a watch company on the left. It could be Swatch, it could be Omega. I'm not entirely sure. We've got the NYPD to the right there too. We just crashed because I wasn't paying attention to braking zone. There we go, yep. Then we've got this hotel chain, which I believe is meant to be Bon Marche, but you can't make it out. And then, crucially, one that's very well hidden, right to my left there, is the Kodak logo, and right beneath it, Marriott Hotels. Yes, and over on the right, if you look where the McDonald's sign is, I believe that is TGI Fridays as well. So right left of continue, you can see Kodak, and then right beneath it, Marriott for the hotel chain. So there's loads of hidden advertising in here that most people would never have even spotted. And that's right, Joe, yes, Virgin is in GT4. See, I don't know if Barcode is actually a legal, an actual company, or if it's a way to get around a cigarette advertiser. Because at this time, Avian, in Europe, advertising for cigarettes was still on its way of being phased out. And there were some countries where you couldn't advertise tobacco at all. So what they did, instead of using the logos for famous brands, they put barcodes on the back of the cars. The idea being that when they were going so fast, the barcodes would practically blend into the logo. Eventually it got stamped out. They weren't allowed to do that. But here we are, we're going to Suzuka Circuit for the final race of this particular event. It's 6 laps of the full circuit in the Nissan GTR Concept LM. So we should, keyword being should, obliterate this. That's exactly why Ferrari had barcodes, Joe. And guess what? Ferrari are still actually technically sponsored by a cigarette company, as are McLaren. Yes, Mission Winnow was a green project by a company who were famous in the day for being sponsors of McLaren and having a logo which was a very suspicious mix of red and white. I'm deliberately not saying who they are, so I'm not being accused of advertising tobacco products on my stream, but those of you who know the logos will know exactly which I'm talking about. Meanwhile, McLaren are sponsored by a company called A Better Tomorrow, which is an anagram. If you take the A, B and T, you can use that to make a very famous logo as an anagram for another brand. But I'm not saying who it is again, because I don't want to be breaking the law by advertising cigarettes on my stream. But yeah, that's the reason a lot of cars had barcodes back in the day. So if they blended at high speed, they'd actually look like the logo. It was an attempt to subliminal advertising. Right, has this car got enough grip to go through here flat? Yes, it has. Brilliant. There's Konami being advertised in Gran Turismo, just like they are at the Fuji Speedway as well, interestingly enough. Also, if you pay attention on the right here, there's loads of hidden advertising on the right hand side there as well. A lot of it's for oil companies and car companies, but you sometimes get the occasional reference. In, I think it's either GT6 or GT7, one of the actual garages advertises iRacing, which is odd because it's technically advertising a competitor. Because iRacing is a very, very super serious sim racer on the PC, which I've never played because it costs too much money and you need a proper rig to be competitive. It's like kind of cool in the way that Polyphony are able to go, well, you're not really a rival to us, we're not on your platform, so here, have an advert. I find that quite interesting. It's almost punk in a way. It's like when music bands back in the 80s used to plug each other. You'd have Metallica walk on stage wearing t-shirts by the Misfits, or you'd have the Misfits walking on wearing t-shirts by the Ramones, and you'd have like all that kind of thing as a way of promoting other bands. For some reason, when Britney Spears did it for Madonna, a load of journalists in the UK were like, "Oh my God, that's one of the most revolutionary things ever." Cue the early 2000s version of the "Am I a Joke to You" meme with James Hetfield wearing a Misfits shirt in 1982. I sound like such a boomer talking about things like that, don't I? I really do. Oh, I've gone too wide. Luckily there's a nice bit of runoff there, so I can basically execute no loss. And as this game doesn't have a penalty system, it's perfectly fine. I've also noticed another hidden advertisement in that Ferris wheel. It's a blink and you'll miss it, but it's got the logo for the company Kirin, who are a famous beverage company in Japan. They do a lot of beers and soft drinks. I used to drink a lot of their beer called Ichiban, which, for those of you who don't know Japanese, stands for #1. So it's a bit arrogant to call your beer that, to be honest. I admire the confidence, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit arrogant. But then again, it's like Carlsberg. They said they're probably the best lager in the world. Spoiler alert, they weren't. They never have been and they never will be. But because they put the word probably in front of it, it wasn't false advertising apparently. Misleading, yes, but false advertising, no. And before you all say I should get a job as an advertiser, no. I'm not. I don't like bullshitting. I talk a lot of shit, but I don't like bullshitting. Heavy understeer then. I think I got the line slightly wrong. The thing about Suzuka is you really have to get... There literally is what they call one line. There's quite a few circuits on both the F1 and the World Endurance calendar where there is literally only one way through. And if you veer offline, you're going to get a lot of junk on your tyres and lose a lot of grip. Silverstone, despite how fast it was considered a race like that. The Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, Spain, which held the last Formula 1 race, is also like that too. And then of course there's Monaco, which I'm not even sure if it counts as a racing circuit, right, mostly a procession. I used to drink Asahi beer quite a lot back in the day, Joe, yes. My particular favourite of theirs was one called Asahi Black, which was like a... it wasn't a stout, but it was like a black lager. And that was really, really nice. I think I've got a video from like 2012 where I did a review of it, going way, way back in the depths of my channel. But yes, I used to drink quite a lot of Asahi. Very, very good beer. The thing is, I used to confuse a lot of bar owners in the UK because I'd go to, oh, he spun off. He managed to lose it at Degner and get himself back on. Sorry, mate, you're getting lapped. Back on topic. I'd go to a bar in the UK and I'd say, can I have a pint of Asahi, please? And they look at me and they go, you mean an Asahi? And I went, no, I'd like a pint of Asahi. What are you saying it like that for? And I'm like, because it's Japanese and that's how it's pronounced. It literally means summertime. Oh. Oh, right. Yep, they've gone off a spoon now, so evidently the AI don't like this circuit either. Like my friend, I had a friend of mine who was a very big fan of Germany. So it's kind of like, but basically, you know, people who are fans of Japan are often called weebs. Well, I don't know if there's one for the Germans, but he was like that version, basically. You know, he loved like all, like, you know, places like Dusseldorf and Munich and everywhere else, and he loved all the architecture. He glossed over the wars, because of course he did. He wouldn't countenance them in any way. But he loved the beers, and he loved the cars, and he loved all that kind of stuff. And one time he was working for a car insurer, and he was dealing with a claim, and he rang up, gave the registration plate, and the guy's like, what kind of car's that then? And he went, it's a Volkswagen Golf. And the guy went, you mean it's a Volkswagen? And he said, no, it's a Volkswagen. What are you saying it like that for? Because it's German. He said, yeah, well, we don't say that, well, we still say Volkswagen, we don't say Volkswagen. My mate, sharp as a razor, replies, do you like Mexican food? Yeah, love it, mate. Are you the kind of guy that asks for jalapenos on your fajitas? I mean, I know Mexican food's spicy, but damn, that was a burn. Because, of course, you ask for jalapenos on fajitas. I don't know anyone who calls it jalapeno and fajita. Unless you're from, maybe, Stoke. We're into the final stretch of this race. Not been challenged at all, which is not much of a surprise given the car I'm driving. I am, in the words of any RPG player, severely overpowered for this point of the game. But I've earned it by struggling through some of the other races I've had to beat through. You all saw me try to become an all-star in that Ford GT. It was a valiant effort, but it was just not fast enough. Attempting to beat prototypes in a GT car at Le Mans was a very bad idea. It was not going to be easy to do. I was not McLaren in 1994. Well, speaking of unusual challenges, actually, I heard that the Garage 56 entry at this year's Le Mans was like an adapted version of a NASCAR. One of the drivers was Jenson Button. They actually came 39th overall. Considering they're driving a NASCAR around Le Mans, that's bloody impressive. Oh god, yes, the CLK CTR. Wow, that was, yeah, that the car that just did not want to turn, did it? That car did not want to turn corners. It had its uses, but that race was not one of them. My tyres are absolutely shot. Suzuka is a course which has very high loadings for the tyres, and I can see by looking at the condition on the bottom left of my screen, they're not in a good place. But we're hanging in there. But I'm not even trying to go flat through there now. No way. The car just will not handle it at all. But we're coming into the Casio Triangle for the final time. And we go around the final bend to come into the pit wall and take the checkered flag. Also, did you notice then, right at the end of the race, advertisement for Namco, where the flagman was. They actually had an advert for Namco. That's pretty awesome too. I should try that actually, yeah, the McLaren F1 Longtail, to see if it's any good, and see if it handles as bad as the CL. It'd be an interesting one to try, for sure. But there we go, that's the end of that season. Now, what do we get as our prize? Probably a 1959 Skyline. No, it's the... Oh! The road-going version of the very, very fast GTR LM. One of the dominant cars from the JGTC in the 90s. Very, very fast indeed. That's actually really kind of cool as a prize. It's a cool prize, that. I don't know where I'm going to be able to use it. I need to know if I've got a car which is a road-going car which doesn't count as a prototype that has more than 500 horsepower. Because if there is one, I want to take on that race where you have the supercar festival, essentially. But all the cars I've got are just, they're either not counted because they're deemed concept cars and you're not allowed to use them, or they're just not good enough. Ooh. Although that would count. The Cizetta V16T, that could be one. That could work at the Supercar Festival. I'm going to try it. I'm guessing that's Italian. Yep, it's an Italian one. But let's very quickly go here. It's the... No, that's the Light the Wind. Which one was it? Oh, that's a standard or sports tyres one. And you need a car which can compete. It's not the Formula GT. Yeah, production cars only. And basically, it has to be a production car. And it says you need standard or sports tyres. Right, okay. Let's see if I can try it, out of curiosity. But before I do that, let's sneakily get some extra horsepower. I've never ever driven this car, but it's the closest we'll come to a Ferrari. It certainly has that look of like, you know, kind of like a Testarossa. Has that kind of design look to it, doesn't it? And apparently it's a V16. How did they manage to squeeze a V16 into that car? Has it literally got like the engine right behind the door frame and going all the way to the tailgate? Because a V16 is a bloody big engine. Taking me up to 618 brake horsepower now. I've got 69 cars now as well. I'm such a child. What tyres have I got equipped? That's the question. Yeah, you're right to mention that. You don't want to know the consumption of that car. Right, I'm going to get some sports hard tyres, but I'm not going to equip them just yet. I want to see just how much we've got on here. Meanwhile, a few minor upgrades. I'm going to upgrade it by getting better brakes. I'm not going to have a stock version of the car. As I say, I've never driven this car, so I've no idea how good or bad it is. Oh, I can naturally aspirate it. Take it up to 692, 745, or 816. Holy cow! Wow! I get the feeling that I'm not going to need much more power than a stage 1. I get the feeling on sports tyres, much more power than that is going to be impossible to control. I'm also going to get a fully customisable transmission, because that'll mean I can change my gear ratios depending on the circuit. That could be very useful. I've got the tyres sorted already. I'm probably going to need the... I'll get racing suspension too. So we've got literally the... Oh, I think this is the only car that they've got that's in the game, the Cizeta. Yeah, they literally have the one car. So it's red here. I've got the black version. You can't buy it, you can't sell it. It's a prize car. So it's this one, the Premium Sports Lounge. Let's see how well we do. Races wise, we're starting with 4 laps of the Côte d'Azur. Not a good place to get my eye in. Hong Kong, not good either. I think High Speed Ring is a good place to start. Let's start with the High Speed Ring, just to get our eye in. Just to see if A, the tyres will last, and B, how hard to control it is. And yeah, you say you don't know if the Cizeta made other cars. I've never even heard of them. I'll be blatantly honest, I've never even heard of them. Oh, a Pagani's in. Someone's brought up a Pagani. It's got a nice feel to it, actually. It feels quite nice. The question is, how does it handle? Like a bit of a pig, to be honest. At high speed, it likes to burn its tyres out. So for a car with 692 horsepower, it doesn't feel as fast as it should be. Yeah, it's got no grip. Oh, you need to be slowing down very early in this car. It likes to lock its tyres and not really get around the corner, if you know what I mean. However, it doesn't look like the computer goes that fast either, to be fair, so... Yeah. It's not bad, actually. It's quite a fun car to drive. you need a minor lift there. You don't need to brake, but you do need to lift. And the gear ratios are actually a bit too long, but we've hit 180 miles an hour, so we're going pretty bloody quickly. Yeah, braking. I need to learn the braking distances in this car. That's the problem. I've not got my braking points right at all. I've also noticed the pit lane appears to be closed. So if the tyres burn out, the tyres burn out. That's interesting. It's annoying, but it's interesting. This is a race that I wanted to do for years, for ages, because I got the Cadillac Chia and I thought, yeah, we'll take this car in. Nope, not allowed to use it. It's deemed a prototype car, you're not allowed. Here we go. As we blast over the line. Yeah, we've hit 180, but we're probably going to need to brake just after the bridge. Yeah, that's more like it. Much more like it. This is actually quite a fun car to drive. I'm surprised. I thought it would be an awful car. I thought it would be a pig to drive, but it's not. You used the XJ220. That'd be a really good choice, but unfortunately, unless that's a prize car elsewhere, it's not one I can use. So the Cesetta, being a prize car, has been a good way around the problem. So you went British, I went Italian. Interesting. Apparently the Jag XJ220, when it was initially released as a prototype, had a V12 engine, but they took it out and made it a V6 because of problems. It's a shame. Could you imagine that car with a V12? It would have been pretty epic. And according to stories I've seen online, apparently that car is very fun to drive in GT7. But a lot of cars are fun to drive in GT7. Good luck acquiring them or having anything to do with them. That's the problem. Like this car here, if I wanted to, I could use it in so many events. I'm using it here because it's the most suitable for here, but you don't just have to use it here. I could use it in many, many other places. I've not got the accessibility when I played GT7 last. Yes, V12 would definitely be heavier, no doubt about it. It'd be a bigger space in the block, so you'd have a lot more. You'd basically have double the valves, you'd have double the shafts, you'd have double the cranks, you'd have double the weight, you'd have double the piston head, you'd have double the piston rings. So in terms of management, a V12 is much bigger. Like I say, if you can get the power out of it, it's worth it, but it very much is a case of a sacrifice. Yes, it took Volkswagen to build a W16 to topple the fastest V12 car when it came to top speed. Because of course, until the Bugatti Veyron took its crown, the McLaren F1 was the king of the hill when it came to top speed. Yes, the McLaren F1 was a rather special ride, it must be said. I love driving it in some of the old games, like in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, what was done for the Xbox 360, for example. Really good fun to drive. Okay, we're doing it. We're going to take this baby to the Côte d'Azur. It will be very much at home in the Principality of Monaco. When you think about it, this is a very Monaco grid, isn't it? A Pagani Zonda, a Cesetta V16, a Pagani Zonda, an Aston Martin Vantage, a Mercedes CLK. That's a very Monte Carlo grid, isn't it? Yes, Joe, that was actually an excellent episode that in Abu Dhabi when they had the showdown between the Bugatti Veyron and the McLaren F1. That McLaren F1 actually was owned by Rowan Atkinson. It was his car. That's why they covered the license plate up. They covered it up for that very reason. Oh, torturous understeering to Sander Vott then. The Perez line came to my rescue as we come to the Aston Martin V8 Vantage, which is an excellent car, by the way, beautiful car. But V8 is half the power of V16, but it doesn't matter because I've got less grip than it would seem. So this is going to be a much more challenging race, so try and do an overtake into Mirabeau. That's not a good idea. And again, the lack of grip. That's it. What's hard about this is because there's so much different elevation. The cars just aren't gripping. The Veyron's a fascinating car, considering it's sold for, I think it was £1.1 million. Yet it cost Volkswagen £5 million to make one. Every car sold at an eye-watering loss. I've never understood why they did it. I can only assume they did it as a way to basically get rid of the profits. To say, well, our turnover's way lower than you think. We've got far less money. Which probably helped them pay the fines for lying about diesel emissions. Too soon? I am actually really struggling to catch up in this race. I've got all the power in the world, but the problem I have is I don't quite have the grip. And bear in mind, I'm on medium tyres as well. I'm not on softs. I'm not on hards. So I'm getting torturous understeer, which is causing a major problem. So if the Pagani's in the lead, in the second, who's in the lead? It's not the other Cizzato, it's not the Aston Martin, it's not the Mercedes. So who the hell is it? Got Beau Rivage into Massenet, and then we come round into Casino Square. Normally there's a roundabout there, but they block it off for the race, and then we're into Mirabeau 1. Before coming down to the hairpin that changes name depending on who owns the hotel. It's been known as the Grand Hotel. It's been known as there was one after that. It's really famous. I can't remember its name. The Lowe's hairpin, and now it's called something else. So I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, there's the Zonda S, and this is where I'm not able to gain much. But an overtake in the tunnel, you don't see that very often. Welcome back, Queen. You're watching me take a knockoff Ferrari called a Cizetta into a very tough event here at Monaco. And I'm trying to catch a leader who's somewhat out of touch at the moment, but give it time. We've got 2 more laps to try and catch him, and there he is. He's in touching distance. How far ahead? That's the question. I think it might be another Pagani. And if it is another Zonda, then that's a problem. Yeah, it is. It's a second Pagani. I've got 2 Paganis. That's why I'm struggling. I'm up against 2 Pagani Zondas. And they are ridiculous cars at this point in time. Well, they're ridiculous even now, to be fair, the Pagani Zonda. The car they didn't know how to move on from. It took them forever to move on to the Hurrah, as it was first thought it was pronounced. It's actually pronounced Huayra, but everyone thought it was called the Hurrah and made jokes it was named after the vomiting noise your passenger makes when you go around corners. H-U-A-R-Y-A, Hurrah. But I'm not catching him. I'm not going to catch him up, I don't think. This car is really not suited to Monaco. Ah, no worries, Avian. You got to go. That's absolutely fine. You enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy your dinner, and I'll catch you on a future stream and everywhere else in between, I guess. Trying to get this little power in now so I can try and get the lap time down. Cut the corner by going wide. Now the question is, can I get close enough? I'm not sure I can. I'm miles ahead of the other Pagani. Absolutely miles ahead, but that's not what I want to be. I don't want to be miles ahead of the other Pagani. I want to be ahead of this one. Oh, nope. That didn't work. This car might be just out of its class for this circuit, unfortunately. It's a shame. I mean, I could try putting soft tyres on. That might be a way of doing it. Here's me. I don't think I need much more power than I've got. Yeah, I do. I need a hell of a lot more power. But the thing I need more of is grip. That's the issue. It's just not got any grip. Yeah, I'm going to have to settle for second on this one, which is rather disappointing. I just took 2 seconds off my fastest lap time then at the end as well. I was 5 seconds behind. Yeah, it just shows I just wasn't fast enough. Starting at the back didn't help, because when you start at the back, you're obviously automatically about 10 seconds slower anyway. But I didn't have the confidence going through the likes of Sandavo, the likes of Rascast, the likes of Lowe's. I just wasn't able to get the power down. I mean, it is fast. It is a fast car. It's just that the thing for me was the grip. I mean, it's a good car. It did a good job. I mean, I don't want to do Opera Paris. That's an awful one. This could work. I mean, that's the thing exactly. It's like getting softs on it. Would they last the whole race? I don't know. That's the difficult part. That's the part I don't quite know. I'll pick them up to start curiosity. Tyres. There we go. I mean, I can always halfway house it. Have softs on the front and mediums on the back. Because that way I've got the drivetrain not wearing out as much. And then I have extra bite into the corner. So we'll give it a go. I also might see if I can do something about the engine. See if I can change the gear ratios, because the gear ratios might be a bit too long. That could make a massive difference. So let's have a quick look. So if I change that to S2 and then quickly go up to the customizable. I mean, it's only a 13, so it's not exactly long. We'll try kicking it back to 11, couple of clicks back. We are at Monaco, so we don't need it at stupidly high levels, to be honest. I want to try this race again. Now this time, oh, hello. We've got the Spiker and a BMW M3, but you know what we don't have? We don't have any Paganis. This might be a chance here now. This could be a much better chance. So we've already done this race once before. Why are we doing it again? Because as a way to end the stream, I want to try and end with a victory. Especially around the Principality. It's a very important place to get a victory. Being in first place is important. So we've got Aston Martin DB9 in here. That'll be a very good car. Oh yeah, massive difference. Massive difference already getting into the first corner. That felt a hell of a lot faster. That wasn't so clever because I got on the brakes too late. That was me being a bit of a fool and hooligan. And there's the Spiker C8, another ex-Formula 1 team. 2008 they were in the sport. Good old Marcus Winkelhock was leading a race for the team in 2007 actually, the European Grand Prix. When it rained and his team saw it. Yeah, get out of here, you. And there's another Aston Martin in the lead. No, it's a Mercedes, actually. It's a Merc. Ah, it's an SLR McLaren. That explains why it's in the lead. McLaren and Mercedes will not have been happy if this car was made to be underpowered and underrepresentable. In a showdown between other manufacturers, they would have made sure the AI do this one well. I do like how this game actually simulates the air brake. I love the fact they had the detail to put the air brake in the game. I think that's awesome. The way the air brake deploys, it's just so nice a touch to see. Oh, yes. Mission 34, we don't speak of that monstrosity any further. You were there. You saw the horror firsthand. Well, I say you saw the horror. You saw the hilarity. I saw the horror. You were all laughing, and it was deserved. You call it an adventure, Joe. I call it an absolute ball ache. But it was worth it for the Nissan R89 CP. That car has more than paid for the pain about 40 times over. Let's be honest here. Yes, Rule 34 and Mission 34, we don't speak of those. Just like we don't speak of the Harem Queen in Persona 1 either. Yeah, these soft tyres on the front made the world of difference. The car is able to bite into the corner a lot more now. It also helps that I've not got the Paganis on track. They are like cars that have really got the pace when they're out in front. Like the Merc SLR isn't slow, but it's not keeping up with me nowhere near as well as the Pagani was. And obviously the Pagani that won the race was clearly on a pace that I couldn't match. Which is fine because I didn't do much to change the car here. I've literally changed the gear ratios a bit and crucially put some faster front tyres on. And that's made a world of difference. The car's been transformed. It's still understeering, don't get me wrong, but it's not as torturous as it was before. I'm able to get more grip out of the car. It's even oversteering at the back end now, which is quite nice. It means I can power out almost like a power slide. Such as there. And as we inch ever closer to the end of the stream, we are going to finish strong. We're going to win in a knockoff Ferrari. Or at least we're on course to win. We need to cross the finish line before that happens. I have celebrated too early before, and I have paid the price for it. That once happened in a real race, in something like Formula 2 or GP2, where a driver pulled over at Monaco, slowed down to celebrate, but hadn't finished the race. So the person in second blasted past him and stole it on the line. He slowed down to celebrate too early. Because what he hadn't done is saw the checkered flag, and the guy behind him realised it. So RJ, you say you love to rotate the rear better to make your turn, so you're more of a kind of drift kind of driver. I find that it's not very fast for my driving style. That I like threading the line a bit more and trying to carry more speed through the corner. But it's not always easy depending on the car you're driving. Some cars you can do it much easier than the others. And absolutely, Queen, yes, it's what they got for showing off. The team principal for the team that he was driving for, by the way, Christian Horner, who has only gone on to lead Red Bull to countless world championships. So by not impressing him that day, that driver cost themselves a very, very significant future career, probably. Almost there. We're almost at the flag. And this has been a world faster than the opposition. The lack of Paganis has helped, definitely. We've had the SLR McLaren to compete with. But it's not going to be enough. And Cizetta, the Italian underdogs, take a very important victory. And the computer managed to hit the wall at Sandoval, just like I did. Typical. So, yeah, the fictional baseball player who never hit the first two pitches, put all his money on the third, and then one day missed. Yeah, that happens. Oh, really, Joe? I didn't know that. In the MotoGP last year in Catalonia, the Aprilia drivers celebrated, well, riders, celebrated the victory with a lap remaining. Oh, amateur mistake. Big mistake, that. But there we go. So, the Cizetta V1694 has taken us to another victory. And we are pretty much at the 3-hour window. There are 3 races remaining in that championship. So we'll pick them up next time we are playing GT4, but I'm not sure when that's going to be, because I've got a few different games lined up. The next stream, of course, is going to be the return to Resident Evil 4 Remake. We're finally going back to it after quite a long time gone. I'm looking forward to getting my teeth back into that game. We'd just done the Uncharted-style minecart escape in the company of Leon and Lewis, and now we're pushing on to try and find Ashley. So join me again on Tuesday evening, at 8 PM BST, where we will be picking that up. Until then, thank you all very, very much for watching. And if you're going round Monaco, use softer tyres.